Alright, so it's not often on this channel that I deal with more local politics. Well, local to me, because I'm in Wisconsin. So Eric Hovde decided he's running for Senate against Tammy Baldwin, the only out member of the Senate who's seeking re-election. And, yeah, it's as horrible as you'd think. So, of course, it's the last week of the campaign, so everyone is going out and about and giving their closing argument for why they should be elected. And Hovde is proving he does not live in this century. I'm questioning if he lives in this millennium, but we're gonna... So let's just get right to the article. Republican candidate for Senate Eric Hovde's campaign's closing message has turned anti-LGBTQ+ in the final weeks of his campaign to unseat out Senator Tammy Baldwin, with the candidate repeatedly saying that Tammy Baldwin wants to redefine the family and that she doesn't know what a woman is. The messaging could be an attempt to get voters to think about the sexuality of the first out LGBTQ+ person elected to the Senate. Now, I think that's a bit harsh. No, they don't want you to think about the fact that she's a lesbian, even though the attack ads point out who her partner is, and it's obviously a woman, but, they're not... I don't think that they're trying to dog whistle that she's a lesbian. I think it's just simply... they're being hateful and homophobic and transphobic. That they are. But I don't think that it's supposed to go ding, 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 ding. Do you really want a lesbian in the Senate? I'm not so sure it goes that far. But maybe I'm naive. So for those who don't know, Tammy Baldwin is a Democrat because, duh, of course she is. Yeah. So let's continue and redefine the family. If he means same-sex marriage, well, we have that already. We've had that for a few years now. So it's been redefined. I'm not sure what redefinition you're talking about. And she doesn't know what a woman is? No, sweetheart. You're confusing a woman with a female. Just because you don't know the difference between those terms, the difference between biology and gender, doesn't mean that other people don't. It's just the way it is. She definitely knows what a woman is. She just knows that it's not defined by chromosomes because there are XY females, there are intersex who choose to identify as a man or a woman. So, no, it's much more complicated, and she understands that. Anyway, moving on. At a meet and greet in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, which is north of me, and I'm in north central Wisconsin, Hovde said, President Trump and I, what do we want to do? We want to protect the traditional family, support traditional values. Again, same-sex marriage has been on the books for a few years now. You're a little fucking late. Unless what you're saying is when you and Trump are in power, which, God, I hope doesn't happen, but that you would rescind same-sex marriage. Which is possible. I wouldn't put past the goober. What do Harris and Baldwin want to do? They want to redefine the family. Again, same-sex marriage has been around for a few years. What exactly are they redefining at this point? They can't even agree what a woman is and what a man is. You talk about insane. Okay. All right, so you tell me. what is a man and what is a woman. I did a video yesterday, I think it was, of a cis woman who the only thing that she was guilty of was being more masculine than obviously anybody in that freaking courtroom thought was allowed for a woman, and decided that she must be a man, and specifically a trans man, because obviously, you know, there must have been something feminine about her that they even thought about the fact that she might be, I don't know. But the fact is that if you just go by looking at someone and making a snap judgment as to whether they're a man or a woman, you're just going to make a fool of yourself. Because, like I mentioned in my video, she was put in the wrong prison because a bunch of people were so high and mighty about I don't know, about the law saying that trans people must be imprisoned in their birth sex prison. So, and they assumed she must be trans because she had some masculine features. I mean, seriously, trans people, there is a paper trail if this person was trans. So, no, considering how many people attack cis people, assuming that they're trans because of their idea of what a man and a woman is, I'm going to say it isn't the liberals who don't know what a man and a woman are. Because if that were the case, you wouldn't be attacking innocent people. And by that, and I put that in quotes because, well, you shouldn't be attacking trans people regardless. So, but you accuse them of being trans simply because they don't meet your definition of what a woman is and what a man is. Whereas most liberals are like, you identify as a woman, cool, and move on with their day. They don't make a big stink about how, oh, but you have this trait or you have that trait, so how could you say you're a woman or a man? No, they just don't do that because they have better things to do. So the only one who's insane are the Trumpians. He repeated similar remarks at a meet and greet in Solon Springs, Wisconsin. At a similar event in Plover, he said accepting trans people was crazy. And at another event in Antigo, he referred to Harrison Baldwin as nuts. Yes, he's such a smart billionaire banker that his thesaurus is this fucking big. Okay, now, again, accepting trans people being crazy is considered crazy. You, I bet, could not pick out a trans person. Why? Because most of them pass. Now, are there some trans people who put it upon themselves to not pass? Sure. Just like tomboys exist and femboys exist. I don't know if that's the proper term for a cis boy who's more feminine. I don't know. You know, the opposite of the term for tomboy but used for actual boys. I don't know what that would be. I've heard of femboy, but I don't know if that's a flavor of trans or, like I said, or that's the opposite of tomboy. That I'm not sure. But again, how is that crazy to accept them when you can't even pick out a trans person? And referring to Harris and Baldwin as nuts, well, that doesn't necessarily have to just be on the trans issue because, well, it's gotten to that point where anything that comes out of Democrats' mouth is considered nuts, even if it's something that a lot of these Republicans agree with, because apparently you're not allowed to agree with anyone on anything anymore. So, at the Trump Unity event, there's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. On Friday, he appealed to his family and children, implying that Baldwin and Harris are against the traditional family and against children. Baldwin and her partner do not have children. Okay. So, Baldwin and Harris, who, like was just mentioned, Baldwin and her partner do not have children, and Harris has 2 stepchildren, whom she regards as her children. They call her Mamala, because they consider themselves a family. If Eric Hovde doesn't see them as her kids, that's just fine. You're not the one who gets to make that decision. If those kids want to refer to Kamala as their mom, then they can do that because she is married to their father. And if they feel close enough to her to do that, that should be their decision, not yours. But obviously this is a slam on the fact that, first off, that Baldwin does not have children, which, again, okay, the fact that she's a lesbian has nothing to do with it, but obviously she doesn't want children, or they just feel like it's not appropriate for some reason to have children, and then they came to the decision together not to have children. But that's on them. They get to decide that. They get to decide whether they want to have children or not. Same thing with Kamala. Same thing with Harris. She married Doug when she was probably already in menopause, because they got married when she was 50. Possibly 49. Still damn close to the menopausal age, if she wasn't already in menopause. So this schmuck who pounds his chest about traditional family obviously wouldn't want her to have gotten pregnant before marriage. So when exactly was she supposed to have kids? Oh, that's right, she couldn't. Now, if you want to claim that she's miserable because life passed her by and she never had kids, blah, 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 that's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, even if she didn't get married or in a previous relationship, she could have had kids if she wanted. Now, whether she just chose not to or is unable to, we don't know. And to be honest, nobody should care. It's none of anybody's business. Because all we know is that she didn't have kids, and she obviously loves the one she has now. So maybe she's just wasn't able to have kids. Whether she just had fertility problems or it just didn't happen, or she just didn't want to get pregnant. I mean, all 3 are perfectly valid. Not all women want, even if they want to be mothers, want to actually bear children. For whatever reason, whether it be medical issues, financial issues, she just doesn't want to go through the potential harm that pregnancy can cause. Because let's face it, your body changes when you go through pregnancy. I mean, my mom developed allergies she did not have before she got pregnant. So maybe she just didn't want to deal with that. Or maybe she just didn't think about it. I mean, let's take me for an example. Never. I mean, you hear of women saying how they dreamt of getting married and having kids and blah blah blah. I never dreamt of that. I never dreamt of getting married. I've never dreamt of having kids. I just never did. That just never interested me. So maybe it never interested her until she met Doug, and then at least the marriage thing worked. And then she's like, oh, I'm so glad that, he has kids, so I don't have to feel bad about not providing that for him or whatever. Who knows? Who cares? This is her life. This is the life she chose. And nobody can accuse her of, well, she chose wrong, because she did what was best for her. And again, you don't know her medical history. You don't know if she's even capable of having kids. Again, it's none of anybody's damn business, because that's between her husband, or before that, whatever partner she happened to have. Nobody else's business but hers. And the people close to her. Because just like ending a pregnancy is nobody else's business, so is getting pregnant. And again, we don't know if she just wasn't capable of it. And if she isn't, then you guys look like a bunch of heartless pricks. Because you're accusing a woman of hating children when A, she adores her stepchildren, and B, she could potentially be infertile. So how the fuck was she supposed to have kids? Oh yeah, that's right, she can't. So, yeah. Regardless, this makes you look heartless. Because it's not for you to decide how they live their lives. Whether they... Being a woman does not mean you have to pop out kids. That's just not in the definition. I mean, can women do that? Yes. Are there plenty of women who want to? Yes. But that doesn't mean that those of us who choose not to, for whatever reason, whether it be we can't, whether it be because we just don't want to, whether it be because the planet is overpopulated as it is and we just don't want to bring kids into that environment, whatever the reason. It is only for us and the people who we choose to have a relationship with, choose to make a family. It's only up to them to decide whether they want to have kids. My brother and his wife, when they first got married, neither of them wanted to have kids. Actually, if it weren't for my sister-in-law just changing her mind, I think my brother would have been just perfectly fine never having kids. I mean, he adores his kids, don't get me wrong. But, he wasn't pestering anyone. So, again, that's completely up to them. They didn't want kids, fine. They want kids, fine. Not up to anyone else. Anyway, what does President Trump want and Eric Hovde? To preserve the traditional family. I'm a family man. I'm a girl dad. 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. What does Kamala Harris and Senator Baldwin? What do the 2 of them want? They want to redefine the family. Again, it's been redefined. Heck, they can't even agree what a woman is versus what is a guy. It's nuts. There's no evidence that either Harris nor Baldwin want to redefine the family, which again, same-sex marriage exists, get over it. Both candidates argue for support of LGBTQ plus individuals, allowing people to form the families they desire and be the person they desire without the government restricting them. But apparently, for some people, that's just a bridge too far. What? I don't get to be the person I want to be. Why does that person get to do that? The only definition of family that is damaging by this is one that excludes LGBTQ plus individuals, which is, I'm pretty sure, the point. At a meet and greet in Shawano, Wisconsin, Hovde said that Harris and Baldwin want to rip up the Constitution. They want liberal courts to write laws. Projection much? They want to take away our right to free speech. Again, projection much? Look at what they did during COVID, with big tech and big media canceling speech, even to the point where a group of virologists and epidemiologists wrote something called the Great Barrington Declaration, saying trying to shut down society during a pandemic will not work and will have devastating impacts. Okay, so that's obviously the canceling speech is about the anti-vaxxers and those who whined about the shutdowns because, we wanted to prevent the frickin' spread of a pandemic. So, yeah, and because it was written out as this is disinformation. Suddenly it's a free speech issue. I'm sorry, you shouldn't be spreading disinformation. And I'm about to get to that whatever. The Great Barrington Declaration was made in October 2020 and has been criticized by the World Health Organization and leading epidemiologists for being unscientific and dangerous in its advocacy against lockdowns and masking. The declaration was sponsored by a climate change-denying libertarian think tank, the American Institute for Economic Research, and was not an independent scientific document. Now, my understanding is that there were some medical professionals and some scientists who did actually sign this document, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wackaloons, but, maybe they were suckered into signing this, or maybe they truly believed. I don't know. But the majority were everyday citizens who were signing this, and not not scientists. So Hovde continued, and they attacked them, called them climate deniers, and had nothing to do with the climate. Again, it's a climate denying think tank. I'm sorry, some people can have two ideas in their brains at one time. And that's what they did. And they want to take away our right to bear arms, which also has nothing to do with the climate, or COVID for that matter. And you just transitioned away. But that's probably perfectly fine. So again, totally different versions of what we want. What do President Trump and I want? We want to preserve the family. I'm a family man. Most important thing in my life, it's God, family, and country. Preserve and strengthen the family. They want to remake the family. Again, it's already been remade. And by the way, they can't even agree what a woman is and what a guy is. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts where they are. Okay. Now, we've gone over the family thing millions of times. And it always is so telling when someone says that their first is God, then family, because you're basically saying that you're a Christian nationalist and you feel that your reading of the Bible means that you get to make the decisions for the family, how it's going to work. In which case, I pity your wife. I could say something really, really mean and tasteless, but I won't. Okay. And, he says he's a family man. You know who else cares about family? Kamala Harris. Why? Because she loves her kids. Just because she didn't give birth to them doesn't mean she loves them any less. And I'm a family man. Why is it that you only are considered a family if kids are involved? I mean, you've heard of the nuclear family, right? So my nuclear family for me are my parents and my brother. So no kids involved. So why do we have to involve kids when saying I care about family? I'm a family man. Why does that have to include kids? Why can't it just be you and your partner? All right. Oh God. Hovde echoed these remarks in an interview with Ted Nugent last Wednesday. Talk about a wackaloon. Where he said they're destroying our country at every single level. I mean, they're attacking our Constitution. Really? How are we doing that? They want to take us down a socialist path instead of our free market system. How? They want to change and destroy family values. Again, based on your bigoted idea of what a family is, that's already been destroyed. Why? Because gay marriage exists. But, family values hadn't been destroyed because gay people can have kids, straight people can still have kids, straight people can still get married to the person that they love. Nobody's forcing them to marry a gay person. It's almost like having same-sex marriage didn't destroy shit. Anyway, Hovde also appeared in an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity this week, where Hannity referred to Baldwin as a radical terrorist Biden supporter. I'm sorry, do you know what any of those words mean? Except for Biden supporter. He probably knows those. Hovde echoed the lines he's been repeating at events and claimed that Baldwin wants to rip up the Constitution and rename our families. What? Rename it to what? My God, this guy is really, really... He calls us crazy. This man is utterly insane. Hovde is running on a far-right platform, you think, including radically opposing abortion. He said he's totally opposed to abortion, which, that's fine. If that, don't have an abortion, that's fine. Nobody's forcing it. Heavily restricting immigration. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he agrees with Trump's mass deportations. And attacking LGBTQ plus individuals. Most recently, he was endorsed by the Campaign for Working Families, a far-right anti-abortion group that believes life begins at fertilization, a belief used to justify opposition to abortion in all cases, as well as in vitro fertilization, a fertility treatment that necessarily results in the creation of fertilized embryos that may never develop into living human beings. The group also equates abortion to child sacrifice and claims abortions are baby pesticides. Talk about wackaloon. What the hell? I feel like I just read a Mad Lib. I mean, I'm reading, I know those words each have a meaning in English, but together, wow. That makes no sense. The Hovde campaign did not respond to requests for comment regarding Hovde's prior statements on the traditional family, nor did they respond to an ask of whether Hovde stands by the Campaign for Working Families endorsement. Eric Wolk, Democratic Party of Wisconsin spokesperson, told LGBTQ Nation of Hovde, Eric Hovde has run one of the most divisive and dark campaigns in recent history. From insulting every Wisconsinite, young and old, to now attacking Tammy Baldwin for her sexuality. Hovde is a desperate candidate trying to distract from his own out-of-touch agenda to ban abortions, roll back our health care, and cut seniors' benefits. Okay, a little backstory on this. So, yes, Eric Hovde has managed to insult everybody. He thinks that seniors in nursing homes shouldn't be allowed to vote because they only have a few months left to live. I think he's confusing hospice with nursing homes, but regardless, even if they only had a few months to live, who cares? They still have the right to vote because, they still want to have an idea of what they want to live, what kind of world they want to leave for their children and grandchildren. That doesn't change if you just have a few months to live, because this family man seems to think that the world revolves around the person, that they don't care about other people, which is strange, considering he says how much he cares about his kids and how much of a family man he is. You would think you'd want to improve life for your kids, and that wouldn't change just because you're going to die in a few days. Anyway, there's that. He's mentioned that women only care about Hollywood, which, okay, and how men only care about fantasy sports. So he didn't just attack women, he attacked men too, but I'm sorry, what? What is this? You think that because Trump insults everybody that you can too? That's just, actually, it's mind-boggling that Trump can get away with it, but still. Nobody else can. Why do you think you can? So, yes, he wants to ban abortion. He wants to get rid of Obamacare. He wants to slash Social Security and Medicare. All the hits. Like I said, cut seniors' benefits. So, yeah, real winner. And yet it's a tight race. I'm really, really hoping that this is another case of the polls are just way off, because that would seriously suck. Hovde's campaign and supporting PACs have been running ads in Wisconsin accusing Baldwin of supporting gender-affirming surgeries for minors and pushing an LGBTQ agenda on kids. LGBTQ Nation rated those claims false in a fact check, because of course they are. Again, gender-affirming surgeries are not happening for minors. I mean, maybe if the gender dysphoria is really, really bad, then maybe they are. But for the most part, no. You wait till you're 18. And pushing an LGBTQ plus agenda on kids, how does that even work? I've mentioned this many times on this channel. I grew up only seeing representations of straight relationships. I'm still a romantic asexual. So, what? This only works on sexual deviation? That makes no sense. Either you can influence people to change their orientation or gender identity based on them learning that such a thing exists, or you can't. You can't have it both ways. Just because kids are learning and realizing at a younger age that, these feelings I'm having, they're legit. It could be this, or maybe they'll grow out of it. Maybe they're just experimenting. That can be. People experiment with their sexuality. People experiment with their gender. That's possible. That they're just on the journey of self-discovery. Fine. But they didn't do that because they learned about it. They just became more comfortable in their own skin at an earlier age because people aren't yelling at them that they're doing something wrong. So anyway, that is Eric Hovde. And did I mention he's a California banker? I mean, granted, he grew up in Madison, I think it was in Madison. So he grew up in Wisconsin. But God knows how long he's been living in California. And it's possible he might have kept an address in Wisconsin. But, can you really say he lives here just because he kept a residence here just in case? So anyway, that is Eric Hovde. So with that, I will see you in the next video.